I'm Debra Baldwin, author of 3 books about succulents. This video showcases in-ground succulents you might grow in your own garden or enjoy seeing in the San Diego Zoo Safari Park's Old World Succulent Garden. It's in Escondido, 45 minutes northeast of the main zoo.
But they've got more land. They can really expand their gardens. If you hear construction noise in the background, it's because I was here during the time they're preparing the new elephant exhibit. Welcome to the countrified version of the San Diego Zoo. I really encourage you to come next time you're in the area, or if you are a resident, to become a member and do what my husband and I do. We come at our leisure, usually in the morning when it's cool, enjoy the animals that are more active then, and head up to the Old World Garden, which is mainly South Africans.
The main downtown zoo also has a lovely succulent garden, but that location is nearer the coast. I prefer the Safari Park's garden because it has more specimens, occupies a larger area, and like my own garden, has an inland climate with colder winters and hotter, drier summers.
Look at my handsome husband, so patient, waiting for me to do my plant nerd thing. And we're here after a big heat wave, so it's pretty amazing how good the plants look, considering they sat and baked in temps that got up to 110. This is an outdoor classroom learning experience.
Succulents, small and large, from South Africa, Madagascar, and the Arabian Peninsula, look great year-round, need minimal water, and offer ideas for residential landscapes from the Bay Area South. They prefer dry, hot summers, low humidity, and winter rainfall. They're in demand, and many nurseries are now offering them. San Diego Cactus and Succulent Society volunteers maintain both the Old World and adjacent Baja California gardens. This one is noteworthy for its aloes, Euphorbias, and pachypodiums, with numerous other species artfully added. It occupies a south-facing decomposed granite hillside in the northwest corner of the park, just past the condor exhibit. The emphasis is on species rather than cultivars. Seasons bring on flowers or dormancy. Rain and cooler temperatures refresh the plants. Dry summers and triple-digit heat will stress them.
So the aloes have closed up because of the heat, and they do that to protect their vital core. Now they will open up, they'll green up as the weather segues into winter and it gets cooler and the rains come. But now they're actually very beautiful because they're so red. Look at this one. It is so tightly closed that it looks dead, but that's its survival strategy.
Aloe dorothea grows to about the size of a soccer ball. Its vivid color and scalloped margins make it a standout. And this is Aloe elgonica, a muted red with centers that stay rosy red even out of full sun. Nurseries take note. Aloe mudenensis is gorgeous and commercial. It deserves to be sold more widely because of how well it survives diverse conditions.
So this is one of the big reasons to grow aloes. Hummingbirds. There's an aloe in bloom, I've heard, every month of the year. And I would love to tell you which one this one is, except the plant seems to have engulfed its tag. The signage here is pretty good, but as in all gardens, plants grow and die, and before you know it, the sign is indicating nothing at all because it's faded or has just disappeared. Elephant's bush is a champion plant in the heat. Look at it. No effect on it at all, not even desiccated. Of course, these plants do get some water. This is a survivor. I've seen it in numerous gardens in Arizona.
Here, Aloe cameronii contrasts with the Eastern Cape Blue cycad and Cephalartus horridus. a gorgeous companion plant for succulents. Also known as Aloe mitriformis, Aloe perfoliata means the stem passes through or perforates the leaves. Flowers resemble 4th of July fireworks. Nearby is a swath of plectranthus, a shrub with spires of blue flowers. It starts easily from cuttings, and its juicy green leaves have a pungent odor when crushed. This is a cross between Aloes marlothii and Van Balleni. Notice its distinctive black stems. Here, its parent Aloe marlothii is near an elephant sculpture. The other parent, Aloe Van Balleni, is glossy from midwinter rain. This specimen's white and pink flowers are less common than the usual golden yellow. Also blooming in February is Aloe cryptopoda, formerly Aloe wickensii. Be sure to see these and dozens of other aloes suitable for gardens, all ID'd and many in bloom, on the aloe page of DebraLeeBaldwin.com.
One thing that's great about this are the aloe trees and the Euphorbias.
This magnificent specimen of upright columnar stems is Euphorbia canariensis from the Canary Islands. If you're into larger tree Euphorbias, you'll see them here, including Euphorbia amac variegata. This rare weeping Euphorbia ingens probably was started from a cutting of the larger, older one in Balboa Park's succulent garden south of the zoo. Euphorbia millii, with red flowers, mingles with bright green Senecio barbertonicus. I love Euphorbia cooperized jointed stems, bright green new growth, and thorns that start out red and bleach white as they toughen. Euphorbia caput medusae is named after the mythical monster with snakes instead of hair. Euphorbia mammillaris, or corncob plant, like the cacti it resembles, can withstand desert heat and sun. If you tend to confuse New World cacti with Old World Euphorbias, you'll easily tell them apart after you watch my video on the subject. Also see Euphorbias in a gallery on my site. Tall, slender Madagascar ocotillo, Aloadia procera, is among the most bizarre trees, succulent or otherwise. And speaking of bizarre, look at that wackadoodle flower cluster on top. Stapelia grandiflora is also known as carrion flower. I'm not thrilled about the smell, which suggests rotting meat, all the better to attract flies to pollinate it, but I do love its dinner plate-sized, star-shaped and furry, meat-colored flowers. This smaller stapeliad, or Bea variegata, is beneath a thorn tree acacia from southeastern Africa, and it's commonly called fever tree, not because it's medicinal, rather because it's found in swampy areas where malaria mosquitoes proliferate. This tree was in bloom, hence those yellow puffball flowers everywhere. Sansevieria masoniana, recently renamed Dracaena masoniana, comes from the Congo and prefers bright shade and infrequent water. It's often seen in pots as a single leaf, giving it the common name shark's fin. Ruchia crassa, or Mesembryanthemum crassa, comes from the western Cape of South Africa. The species name crassa refers to the thickness of stems that take the place of leaves. It's related to other ice plants, including Ruchia maxima and Lampranthus deltoides. See more succulent ground covers with vivid flowers in my ice plant video. Other shrub-forming succulents in the Old World Garden include crassulas and cotyledons. Did you know that silver powder or farina on a succulent's leaves helps protect the plant from harsh sunlight? It's reflective, repels dirt, and discourages insects. This was the only kalanchoe I found. Maybe the reason Kalanchoe luciae and its cultivars do better inland than other kalanchoe species is that luciae is from South Africa and most others are from the island of Madagascar. See those Pachypodium lameri? The fact that these so-called Madagascar palms, which aren't palms at all, grow here suggests that this hillside is frost-free. That makes sense. It's at a high point of the park's hilly terrain. Frost flows downward and settles in canyons. Pachy is Latin for thick or stout. Elvants, not far from here, are pachyderms. Pachy refers to the plant's water-storing trunk, which is what makes it a succulent.
The downtown zoo is the horticultural masterpiece. Every kind of tropical and flowering and ornamental plant that will grow in the paradise of Southern California.
Find additional information in the video description and on the corresponding page of my site. Do subscribe to my channel, enjoy my other videos, and visit my ad-free site for extensive illustrated info on every aspect of succulents.
I'm Debra Lee Baldwin. Thank you for joining me.